Hi guys, Sean Savage here, Streaker Marine, in one of Australia's most popular tinnies. It's a Quintrex F350 Outback Explorer. It's been built to go on top of your roof for your car top of boating, for those trips you're going around Australia or in the back of the caravan, whatever you do. When people buy these boats, they've always got a few concerns. How stable is it? Can it handle a little bit of chop? And how much horsepower do I need for the boat to perform properly? So that's what we're out here to test. It's going to be choppy out in the bay, so we're going to tick that box. Stability, I'm going to walk around the boat in the moment, and we've gone the minimum horsepower to 9.9. I don't think we've ever sold one with a 9.9. They've always been 15s. So we're going to drop it down in capacity, drop it down in horsepower. I'm going to go in the boat by myself, and then I'm going to get Tyrone in the boat with me as well to have two adults. So let's check out the stability. It is a 3.5 metre tinny that goes up on the roof, so don't expect too much. However, there is a back pocket here. I can stand here. You guys will be able to see the stability, but casting wise and being inside the boat, the big benefit of one of these Outback Explorers, which come in 3.5, 3.7, 3.9, is they're big, wide and deep for their size, and they have this continuous beam across the front of the boat, which goes into what we call a pickle fork bow, generates all this width. And I can stand up here and you'll be able to see the proportion of the boat. All we have on board is a fuel tank at the back and a safety gear bag at the front. So we've got no battery and no personal belongings. So once you load that boat out to suit exactly the way you want it, you'll find, I believe, for a 3.5 metre boat, stability is pretty bloody good. So let's go check out its power and check out its performance out in the bay and see if this is the right tinny for you and your family. All right, here we are on board. So starting from the back of the boat, we'll go through some options before we hit the choppy water. Those two pads at the back are called rear fuel tank racks. They're options, they're not expensive, but I would strongly suggest those. So they're two supported aluminium reinforced tubes in the back there to support those two pads. One side we've got the fuel tank, that's just a 12 litre, you can have a 12 or a 24. And the other side's empty. People put their own belongings there or a battery, if it's electric start engine or a sounder or whatever you want. And it's that mix between how much work do you want to do with your tinny, especially if it's on the roof of the car. When you flip it upside down, do you want to put in the battery and all the gear, or do you want to keep it ultra simple? So we've gone simple on this one. Turning around, we've got the floor. The floor is also an option. So that is the low floor. Plenty of width. We've got a glove box just in the center here. I've got my camera gear in there at the moment. The glove box is in there. The front seat, that's my safety gear forward of that, which is the safety gear bag. Anchor locker forward of that again. And that's that pickle fork bow. So we can see here, get a good reference point. If I go hard against the other side, versus the other side, you know, you got to be careful where you stand in this thing, but you're not going to rock it over. If there's multiple people fishing in the boat, you just got to make sure you all know where each other are. So this is the 9.9 horsepower. All we do is we have our throttle here, a little bit of fast idle. Make sure it's in neutral. That's forward or reverse, neutral straight up. Safety lanyards in, chokes in because it's already been ran. It's a pull start engine. Bring the throttle back down. That's our little washing device for when we want to flush the engine. That's where you can plug it in gear. And we're sailing. So we'll head out the river now. We won't bore you with that middle bit. We'll continue the video once we're out in the water, and we'll have a good look. Now actually, before we do that, the 350 comes in two shaft lengths, a short shaft and a long shaft. The reason why we have two shaft lengths is to suit the engine that you own. Most engines these days are long shaft, 20 inch, which means a transom would be like this high when it goes across. Here's a 15 inch transom, so it's designed for a shorter engine, so it's a bigger hole at the back of the boat. So if we have a look at the back of the boat here, we should be able to see our clearance, if we can, of how much depth we have from the outside. But what everyone's always worried about is if we reverse in heavily, are we going to get wet? The answer is we're actually pretty bloody close, to be totally honest with you. I reckon we've only got a couple of inches there before we got water coming in. So you'd only buy the short shaft if you had an engine that was a short shaft, a 15-inch shaft. Otherwise, there's no advantage of buying it. Buy a long shaft engine and have that extra 5 inches of internal freeboard on that transom, because from what I saw then, with only a 12-litre fuel tank, no battery, I'm about 80 kilo or so, is we were pretty close to the edge there. You wouldn't want to reverse with a lot of weight at the back, especially into a chop with the 15-inch transom, the short shaft. You might just find yourself turning on that bilge pump. All right, we'll get back to you once we're out in the bay. Okay, we're out in the bay, and I would suggest if you're going to travel around Australia and go to all sorts of parts of our beautiful waterways, there's going to be a stage in your 3.5 metre tinny. You're going to find yourself in some rougher water than you probably planned to be in. This is good Port Phillip Bay chop. So I'm just seeing if we can go over a couple here to give you a bit of an instance of what we're dealing with. But, you know, it's quarter of a metre, I suppose. You know, like they're good, solid little waves. Like these guys here, they're nothing to be sneezed about. That's decent chop. So what we're going to do is we're going to accelerate. We're going to get up on the plane, and we're going to see how long it takes to get up on the plane. Remember, and for those watching at home that aren't quite familiar with what I'm talking about, planing means the boat's out of the water. It's been lifted out of the water, and now it's on top of the water and it's traveling. So when we're going slow, like sub 10 kilometers an hour, we're in the water, we're chugging along. When we accelerate, the boat will lift out of the water and be on top of it. That's called planing. Basic summary. So we're going to count how long it takes. Me, solo, in the boat. There's no battery, there's no extra gear, so you're going to take all that into consideration. But she's only a 9.9 horsepower as well. So let's give her a go. We're going to accelerate and count how long we think it takes. So accelerate. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to say it was 4 seconds to get up on the plane and get going. That's pretty good, but it is going to be obviously slower when we've got more weight inside the boat. So that pickle fork bow's already saved me from getting wet a couple of times. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but when the water's come up, that pickle fork bow's grabbed the water and kept me dry. So I'm pretty happy with that. Try a different angle. We're going good. I don't know how fast we're going. We must be doing 20, 25 kilometers an hour, I would suggest. Might just open her up, see how we go. That's flat out. Oh, gee whiz. We're going real good. But you probably not too worried about, okay, we're actually going right here. Let us go. All right, slow her down. We'll do a turn. We'll turn along. That little 9.9 is an absolute champion. Everyone buys these with the 15. The 15 is going to pay dividends when we put the wife, kids, dog, all your fishing gear in there, for sure, no doubt. But the 9.9 is lighter to lift on and off the boat. It's got heaps of power, and she's happy that's cruising along right now. And look, there is a genuine chop out here. And we're just skimming along in a 3.5 metre boat pretty bloody well. I mean, I'm impressed. I've been in the 370, it probably wasn't quite this rough, but the 390, she's going good. There's no doubt about that. All right, so we'll slow her down. We'll stand up in the chop and we'll see if I fall over. How's that sound? Oh. Look, I'm not going to do too many fancy manoeuvres, but I'm standing up, I'm in the middle. I doubt you're going to stop and fish in this sort of chop in a 3.5 metre boat. You might, that's up to you. But she's big, she's wide, she's deep. It's the lightest thing you can put on top of your roof of your car and actually have a proper boat, not a toy. We sell heaps of them here at Streaker Marine. We love the Outback Explorers. It was a great initiative from Quintrex to build this style of hull. The other thing just to mention is when we do lift them upside down, slide them on the roof, if you look from the bow all the way, everything's flush. So you can slide them up on the roof without having any obstructions on the top deck. They're gonna catch along the way, other than that camera mount. So, look, pretty bloody impressive boat. Its specs are here. So it takes 15 horsepower. The short shaft only takes 2 adults, and the long shaft does take 3. Remembering 2 kids is 1 adult, just to keep that in mind. So thanks for watching. If you made it this far, we appreciate you watching our videos. I hope this helps. If you have any questions at all, please contact us here at Streaker Marine. Thanks for watching.